So, does Addison Rae have a place in music? Should I be taking her as seriously as a lot of people online are taking her? Am I being a hater? Let's talk about it. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Cake Radio Show. I'm the Cake Dive, and I hope you guys are ready for another slice of cake because today we're going to be talking about Addison Rae, kind of the album, and just kind of my thoughts on her as an artist. Does she have longevity as a musician? How do I feel about like the fan base that currently exists? How I feel about the performances, how I feel about the visuals, all the things that people like to hear about when it comes to music. Um, Let me preface this by saying I've not listened to the album. I've heard snippets from some of the non-single tracks. I've heard all, but I believe one of the singles. And well, actually, no, I listened to all the singles because it's four singles. It's what is it? It's a Diet Pepsi song. It's Aquamarine, and then I think there's the remix, and then there's Headphones On, and I think there's like the new one that came out right before the single. So I've listened to all the singles. Um, but the reason I wanted to do this episode is I've been having a lot of conversations with friends about Addison Rae, how they feel about Addison Rae. A lot of them are asking how I feel about her as an artist. Do I think that there's, a space for her as an artist in, the music industry? How do I feel about the music? Stuff like that. And I was just like, let's just do a Cake Radio episode on it. Why not? Let's bring it to the show. Let's bring it to the Cake Radio show because if they ask me about it, maybe y'all want to hear my thoughts on it. Why not? But I think that Addison Rae shows promise as a white pop star. Maybe I'm using star too liberally here. I think as a pop artist, I think she will have some longevity if she keeps refining her sound, keeps working with her team and working hard. But I do have concern that she is going to be stuck in a box possibly, or that she's only going to be appealing to a certain demographic of people. And I think a lot of that is part of her own doing. And I think that part of it is going to be very hard to shake if there isn't much improvement. And I'm willing to talk about that. Let's have a conversation. um, so for starters, let's talk about the music because that is the most important thing that people want to hear about. What do I think about the music? What do I think about the sound? And from what I heard from the singles, as well as some of the snippets that I heard from the album itself, Addison has found she's fairly cohesive with the sound that she's doing with this album. It is definitely a little bit of a change from what she was doing with like the pre-album music. Like I think it was like what Obsessed, and then that EP. And that music was like glaringly, overwhelmingly TikTok music. Like now don't get me wrong, there's a few hits off the EP, like that one song with Charlie XCX was cute. But the songs on this new album and stuff like that sound cute. It sounds cohesive. It sounds like she is approaching things a little bit differently here. But it does remind me of some other artists. And part of it sounds like, you can tell the influences. And nothing wrong with that. But I am curious to see like how she moves next after this album. Like, is the next project gonna sound just like this? Is she gonna like go with a different sound and experiment? Like, I'm curious to see like where she goes with it. But that being said, I feel like the music is fine. I don't think that it is like, I feel like it's music that a lot of people will listen to and move on from the next, couple of months or so, or like they revisit periodically. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be inherently like, none of the music screams like timeless to me, and there's nothing wrong with that. We always have like hits that go away from us because the sound isn't hot anymore. You know, people change, people taste change. That's always going to happen with the times. But I'm I still have this weird feeling in which it's like people are gonna like move on from this music very quickly, more quickly than like they would for other artists, and that's just kind of how that's a consequence of how the sound is and how people are talking about the music. Um, I feel like people kind of like once the next. I feel like when the next single came out for the songs off this album, like people stopped talking about the previous one. Like when Aquamarine came out, people weren't really talking about Diet Pepsi. When Headphones On came out, people weren't talking about, the other two singles, like that. So I just feel like, and obviously, like, part of it is natural, part of it's just a natural succession. Like, people are looking at, always going to look at what's new, what's the new track, what's coming out. But I feel like if the songs were really like timeless or like really hits, um, and that's not like, again, let me, like, okay, try to be nice because I don't want to come off as like a hater, but it just, to me, I have this weird like gut feeling in which it's like it feels very trendy, like it's a fad, dare I say. Um, then you have like the visuals. The visuals are cute. I don't think that they really are like, they're simple. Nothing wrong with simple. You can tell they're cheap. There's nothing wrong with cheap. Because they're small scale. Like, what was it? The Diet Pepsi video was her just driving in a car, like riding in a car and dancing and drinking Pepsi. Very self-explanatory. I feel like the only music video that felt like, I think, grand was the High Fashion. I completely forgot about High Fashion. Oops. But like, I feel like the High Fashion music video felt a little bit like bigger than some of the other singles. And maybe like the new single that came out before the album release also feels a little bit bigger. But a lot of the songs that had like music videos or visualizers, they felt very small scale and simple. And I think when it comes to music videos, like, music videos are important. People don't watch music videos as much as they used to, but they do impact an album. They do also impact like how longevity is with an album or a song, and like maintain retention of people tuning into a song, whether they like the song completely or not. An example of this is like Megan Thee Stallion with the Whatever song that came out. A lot of people were doing think pieces and talking about how they didn't like that song, or that they thought the song was okay, or that they thought the song was a disappointment, and all these different things, this, that, and the third. People scared of like, I'm playing. But what was really interesting to me when that song came out, I liked the song. I still be listening to the song, but it's just me. Hey, what I thought was really interesting was that a lot of people who, even some of the people who like did not like the song or thought the song was just okay, still like praised the music video, and still were like tuning into the music video. Like, I've seen people be like, "Oh, I don't like the song, but that music video is sickening." Like, a good music video can change the appeal of a song very important, like, very well, and so can a performance. I feel like for our generation, performances are the new music video. I know that's a little bit bold for me to say, and I feel like a lot of people might not agree, but I feel like performances for my generation is now the new music video, because I feel like with performances, it feels very personal. Like, it feels personal and like an experience in the same way that like music videos used to be experiences back in the day. Like when you watch like Thriller and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people go to tours and go to festivals and tune into like these award show performances because they want to see an artist do things that feel bigger than life. And I think that that's what makes performances, and that's what makes people tune in. And that's what makes people go to the seats and tune in and like buy the tickets to go to the tour and all these different things. So a good performance is very important, very alluring. That's why with a good example of this is Chloe Bailey. That's why when she released her debut single, Have Mercy, that was a success for her because of the fact that people were liking the song off first snippet. She was teasing the song, doing teasers. Then the song comes out. She dropped a music video. The music video is sickening. She had Tina Knowles in the music video. She was doing performances. She was doing the VMAs. She was doing Billboard Awards. With the other singles after that, she was doing BET Awards. She's still doing music videos, stuff like that. Even when she like completely scrapped those singles before in pieces, she was still doing performances. She was still doing the music videos and different stuff like that. She was still trying to do the promotion. And even after all that, even after all the think pieces that people had within pieces, the performance of In Pieces, she still had a sold out tour. People still showed up to see her perform live because they know that even if they weren't feeling the songs on the album as it was recorded, that when they listen to her perform these songs live, it's still going to feel like an experience, and it's still going to feel very worth it to them. Or even if they like the songs that were recorded, hearing her pull back and use that vocal register that people love Chloe Bailey for really added things for her. So it can make and break an album. It can extend the longevity and the shelf life of an album. And obviously, you don't necessarily, like a lot of people, like people say that you don't need performances, you don't need music videos. And there is evidence that obviously there have been albums that have had success, without the music video or without, the performances. But I think when we have conversations, especially around newer artists, it is very important to have those, in my opinion. When you have, what was it? Obviously, like an example of this is like Dopamine. People talked about how there weren't music videos. The only music video was Wild Side, and that came out years before the album. And you didn't really have performances of the song. We are getting one this year, apparently. Well, technically, we have had a performance. We had that, and then we had the Spotify like After Hours R&B X performance. But the girls was talking about the performances when that Spotify performance came out. People were like, "Oh, this reminded me of how much I love, the album," or I gotta go back and stream the album because I've seen the performances. Like, it does things for people. Circling back to Chloe, when her and Halle came back together and performed Want Me on stage off of the Trouble in Paradise album, there was a surge in streams because people were like, whoa, like, there are people who were not aware that song came out until that performance came out and started trending and started becoming popular. And when it comes to Addison, the performances aren't doing that because I don't think she's a good performer. And that's not to say that she can't grow into a good performer. I just think off this first go around, it has not been good. And we have a few performances to like gather this from. We had like the Spotify performances that recently came out that had all those gay white men all those gay men in the audience, in the crowd. And then you had, the Charlie XCX performances of that remix that they on. Like, it's just the things, like her mic is low or her mic is too high. She's struggling, like she's straining when singing, or, it's a little bit rocky. Like, it's an issue. Or she's just kind of like, I don't know. It's not giving what it's needed to be gave. And I know some people are like, I was having a conversation with one of my friends today before I recorded this, actually. And he was talking about the fact that, like, Addison isn't necessarily a performance artist. You're not like she's not necessarily an entertainer. You're not really watching her to perform. Not too sure about that, friend, because, and I'm gonna clock you, Aiden. Let me clock you, Aiden. I'm sorry. And I know you tweeted, "Oh, Addison Rae haters are losers," and I'm not a hater. I do think she has promise. I think if she works hard, she can get where she wants to go. But if she's not a performance artist, why the hell are you on stage? Like, that's question number one. If you're not a performance artist, if you're not a performer, why are you on stage? You you could just have left it at the visuals, at the music video, at the song, and just left it at that. But you and your team are aware that performances add value, and it brings more attention and more eyes to your project, to your body of work. So of course you're going to perform. But if you're not going to do the things up to stuff, or even like half do it up to stuff, because obviously it's your debut. You're not going to be, unless you're someone like a Coco Jones who been performing for a long time, and once you do the debut album, it's so gaggy, like, oh, like, unless you're somebody like that, we're not expecting you to be perfect on the performances, but like these performances are legitimately awful. And circling back to the game, man, I did bring this up earlier with audiences. I feel as if Addison Rae's audience is very specific in not a good way. And I'm not talking about my gays. My gays, well, sort of, kind of, because it's not. It is. What I'm talking about here is I feel like the audience is very white. Like, it's a very white gay man who's like an Addison Rae fan. When I think about who Addison Rae fans look like I just imagine like a gay white man from like Bushwick, like it's given something like that. Like, it's given like a New York gay or like a LA white gay guy. Like, it's giving one of those vibes to me. Like, it's not giving all encompassing pop music type things. Obviously, because like she's going for a specific sound here, it's not like the TikTok music that she was doing back in the day with the EP. But that's the audience that she's appealing to, for better or for worse. And I think that there's a lot of like there's explanations as to why she's doing that. One, she's kind of had some of the crossover from like Charlie XCX, who does have a good chunk of that audience, part of that appeal. And on the other hand, you also have the sound of the music. Sound of the music does appeal to that audience pretty well. There's a lot of artists that make music with that sound or sounds familiar that audience really enjoys and really like messes with. So there's that. And then I think another reason is some of the questionable things that Addison has done in the past. Now, I feel like one of the things that I've noticed online is like when a black woman or a black man talks about this woman online as like, oh, like the people be going at them. But I think that it's a fair critique, because I don't think that Addison Rae has inherently appealed towards a broad audience that includes black people in it. And I mean, obviously that's not an issue because we live in a society that doesn't really care about that. But when it comes to longevity and when it comes to success of music, that is, whether people want to admit it or not, it is important. That's why Brad Summer could have done a lot stronger. It could have been a lot stronger, had a lot more longevity if Charlie XCX brought more black people into the mix. The fact that she was like, and that's no shade. Well, that is a little bit of shade. Like, it's with no disrespect, because I love Charlie XCX. I do have a lot of respect for her music and stuff like that. But only black person I remember really being involved in Brad Summer was like Quinn Blackwell. But she's not a singer or anything like that. She's just, well, she does make music, I think, if I remember correctly. The little brief era that happened. But she's more like an entertainer personality and stuff like that. Like, she was viewed as one of the it girls. But like, we didn't really get no like the only like collab that we really got was like Shy Girl. It wasn't as all encompassing as I feel like it could have been. I think that isn't it is something that I think could have been done better. It's not to say that Charlie doesn't collaborate with black artists, because you have like Shy Girl, she collaborated with Lizzo back in the day. Like there's a sprinkle, not enough, but there's a sprinkle. With Addison, obviously she hasn't had too many like features or collaborations. Like the only collaboration I think she's had up to this point, well, up to this point it's been two. It's like what, Charlie XCX and I think Arca with the remix, but she's been kind of quiet in terms of like if she would collaborate with a black artist. We also have to address the elephant in the room. She did get caught up being excited trying to meet Donald Trump in that one clip. I think a lot of people skirt past that like that didn't happen, but that was something that happened. Was not a good look. And I think that the critiques in that realm and some of the accusations that she has within that realm are fair critiques. But I feel like because she is a white girl and the fan base is white, they are willing to not only sweep that under the rug, but look at the people who do bring that up and address that and say that is one of the reasons why they have an issue with her or someone like her. They make an issue that's like their issue, like, oh, like, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but, or, oh, like, you the only one that feels that way, but like it's that type of thing. And I just think that is something that will impact her. Speaking of the fan base and how they move, another example, that like Tate McRae girl and the drama that they was having, that, well, the fans was having, because it was really just a clip of Addison shading girls very broadly. She was doing the diva thing, in which it was, let me shade all the girls and see, because that's cute. First of all, I think that's a little bit too early, because the music, slow down, Savannah, slow down. But I think that a lot of people online was like, saw that clip and was like, oh, she talked about Tate McRae. And it was like they was going to war about it, which I thought was hilarious, because I think that they're both two white girls on the same white pop girl coin. You have Addison, who like does very stripped down vocal music, but is an awful performer, and then you have Tate McRae, who is I think she's pretty known for, like, a lot of people like talk about the performances and how she be spinning and dipping and stuff like that for a white girl, but the music's too overproduced, and her biggest hit, unfortunately, was one collaborating with Morgan Wallen, which I think was very weird, and a lot of people agree is very weird. But two peas in a pod. Am I right, guys? Long story short, I think that it's gonna be an uphill climb. I think that, again, if she can refine her music, refine her sound, broaden her horizons, keep collaborating with people, refine her performances and stuff like that, she could very well have a place. We will just have to wait and see. But that is my thoughts on the situation. I said the situation. This is not like inherent drama. This lady just dropped an album, and the girls is quiet on the album. Like, I'll be honest, I have not really heard people talk about the album since it came out. Like, I heard a few sprinkles. I heard people ask me about the artist specifically, but no one's ever asked me like, oh, have you listened to the album and stuff like that? I haven't. But there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, do you like the girl? Do you like the music? Did you listen to the album? What you think about the album? Do you think she has a place in music? Do you think she has longevity, or do you think she's gonna disappear? Do you like her? Do you not like her? If you don't like her, why? Keep it cute in the comments. Subscribe to the YouTube, where you get episodes before anyone else, at Cake Radio Show. Tune in to Talk, which I drop every week or every other week. It's about to be every other week. Next episode next week. If you're listening on Spotify, your favorite podcast platform, thank you. Share the podcast around. Like the podcast. Download the podcast. Subscribe, turn on notifications. That's it for me. I'll talk to y'all. Set it out. I'm talking too fast. I'll talk to y'all next time. Don't forget to smile.